Welcome to my 21.3 assignment, which is on age. So, there are two types of aging. There is chronological aging and biological aging. Chronological aging is the effect of aging as a function of the passage of time and how it happens with other variables. There is no way to slow down aging. The only way it changes is with death. Uh, Biological aging is the progressive changes in all physiological structures and functions affecting the entire body from individual cells and connective tissue to vital organs. Looking at the diagram timeline, we can see that in childhood the growth of males and females is the same, and both genders start developing their coordination, balance, and agility to develop the central nervous system. Then adolescents mature. However, after the age of 25 plus, the cell structure and organ function set to get affected by age, start to get affected by age. Additionally, between 25 and 30, depending on the aging process, individuals will start to get affected joints, body fat, muscle tissue, and bone structure. Looking at the other timeline, the bottom one, figures, we can see that we have an ever rising number of aging population. This therefore puts stress onto our NHS due to the care and demand, and therefore other financial issues increase. Hospitals are becoming short on beds, and therefore also putting the NHS under huge amounts of added stress. So the skeletal system. Bones stop growing at 18 for females and males at 21. After the growing process for bones has stopped, the effectiveness of osteoclasts and osteoblasts become less efficient. This means that old bone tissue isn't rebuilt back by the osteoblasts as quickly, and therefore in age brittle bones can be a physical performance inhibitor. At the age of 30, bones become weaker, and therefore recovering of bone damage is a lot harder to gain strength back. However, this can be stopped by factors such as diet. If an individual is consuming enough calcium and vitamin D, then the bones can be healthy and therefore more likely to keep strength and less likely to become brittle. Individuals with brittle bones can still take part in sport, however, the sport can't be high impact such as running. Individuals can take part in sports such as swimming, which allows the body to have no pressure on it while still remaining active. So the muscular system. Muscle mass is at its peak during the early years of adulthood, from 25 to 30. On average, muscle mass has begun to decrease by the age of 32. As a result of this, there is a loss of strength and power and a decline in physical performance. Muscle fibers start to shrink and therefore make the physique look smaller and not as full. This is known as muscular atrophy. On average, each person can lose 5% of muscle mass during a decade. So why is this? Well, many people don't meet the recommended daily calorie intake or protein intake, and therefore decreases the chance of sustaining and rebuilding the muscle tissue. However, there are some medical conditions that can affect muscle damage, such as sarcopenia. So sarcopenia is a condition which is associated with age, which slows down muscle damage. Hormones. So hormones play a huge factor, whatever our age. Men have more testosterone and women have more estrogen. During older age, the pituitary gland slows down and therefore can lead to a decrease in muscle mass and bone mass. As males get older, their testosterone levels decrease, which also has a correlation with the decrease of muscle mass loss. Hormones additionally help us make mental and cognitive decisions, which means that as we age, the hormone production is decreased, and therefore it can slow down our cognitive function and our ability to think. This can impact on sport performance by not reacting to the plays or decisions as quickly as in youth, and also in sports such as cricket, where reaction time is pivotal to a 90-mile-an-hour cricket ball. This can help slow decision making down. However, in youth players, they can make decisions quicker and easier because they have the hormone production thriving, and therefore are able to make quicker decisions. So flexibility. Looking at the graph, we can see that flexibility peaks around the age of 5 to 12 years and slowly declines as we age. This is because our muscles get stiffer and therefore aren't as flexible. The crosslinks in the muscle increase due to the glycogen levels and therefore results in a loss of flexibility. Muscles rely on heat and warmth to be able to have a full stretch and be pliable with easy moving without getting injured. And in older life, individuals and athletes will lose heat quicker and therefore the muscle will be less pliable, which can lead to injury. Impact on training. So having a good all-round healthy body can make training a lot more enjoyable, functional and easier. In youth and early adulthood, the muscles will be more likely to recover as blood flow around the body is more efficient due to healthier blood vessels and arteries. Having a good blood flow can also transport nutrients such as oxygen, lactic acid and protein around the body, therefore making recovery times quicker and more efficient. During training, the heart will have a bigger heart rate zone to work in due to a calculation where you take your age away from 220. If you're 17, then you can work within 203 beats per minute, whereas if you're 50, you can only work in 170 beats per minute. This means that theoretically, a 50-year-old will feel a lot more tired at 70% max heart rate compared to a 17-year-old at 70% max heart rate. In older age, weight-bearing sports such as running can become more stressful on the bones and joints and make it more difficult for an athlete or individual to take part in this kind of activity, limiting their training and playing capabilities. So the impact on anaerobic capacity. So the impact age has on anaerobic activity is that, for example, 100-meter sprint, the races start off by a gun. The older individuals and athletes get slower. As they get older, their reaction time slows due to their cognitive function and abilities, which relates back to the hormones and other factors I talked about earlier. So therefore, this would put them at a disadvantage in the race because they won't be able to get out the blocks as quickly and react to the gun as other younger competitors. Also, muscle atrophy starts to affect athletes in older age, and therefore the athlete wouldn't have enough muscular power to sprint off the starting blocks because the muscular strength in the muscle fibers has deteriorated. As athletes age, they are not training for strength as their bones and joints start to weaken, and this means that they are only using slow oxidative muscle fibers. So when it comes to powerful strength and speed tests, then this will be a disadvantage. This is why you tend to see 100-meter sprint runners peak between 25 and 30 years of age. So the respiratory system plays a pivotal role in performance as it is the body's mechanical system for the inspiration of oxygen and the expiration of carbon dioxide. In early years such as youth and late teenage years, the respiratory muscles are at their strongest and therefore can inspire and expire more oxygen and expire more carbon dioxide due to the muscles being stronger and the air sacs within the lungs being their strongest. In later life, these muscles can start to weaken, as we discovered earlier on in the presentation, that all the muscles in the body start to become weaker. So this can affect on sports performance in the later years because the transportation of oxygen and the removal process of carbon dioxide is a lot slower. This means that the older athletes or individuals will not be able to play at the speed and intensity compared to that of a youth player or a player in the mid-20s. Due to older athletes having some slower respiratory systems, this means that their recovery times can be slower and therefore result in a less frequent, less intense training program or workout routine. Because the elasticity in the lungs decreases, this means that the air volume in the lungs reduces due to the lungs not being able to expand efficiently. This therefore has an effect on performance because the athlete will have to take quicker, more shallow breaths when performing. Because of the quicker, shallow breaths means that the oxygen doesn't get absorbed as efficiently and leads to an increase in breathing rate. Cardiovascular system. So, as we get older, our heart rate range becomes less. To work out our heart rate range, you take your age away from 220. As we become older, this heart rate range obviously gets less, and therefore working at 70% heart rate is lower and therefore takes more energy. This compared to a young person who is 20 has 200 beats to work in, and therefore 70% heart rate will be a lot less. As we age, the SA node in the heart, which is the pacemaker in the heart, loses some of its cells and therefore slows down the heart rate, and this is correlated with age. Due to the environmental factors such as diet and lifestyle, the arteries and blood vessels can become clogged up, and therefore blood flow around the body becomes slower. This has an impact on sport performance as the blood can't go around the body and gets oxygenized quickly, and waste products can't be removed as quickly, and this therefore makes the athlete feel worse in sport performance. It makes the athlete feel worse in sport performance due to the build-up of lactic acid. A slight increase in the size of the heart, especially the left ventricle, is not uncommon. The heart will thicken, so the amount of blood that the chamber can hold may actually decrease despite the increased overall size of the heart getting bigger, so the heart may fill more slowly. So, how does age impact on aerobic capacity? So, first of all, age affects aerobic capacity by not being able to meet the demands of getting rid of the waste products, lactic acid. This therefore slows down recovery time and impacts on the intensity and duration of the event or the training session. In older age, the athletes will have a higher heart rate zone, which means they'll be able to work for as long before getting tired at their 70% maximum heart rate. This will impact the athlete because the athlete will feel more fatigued than if they were younger and could work in a higher heart rate zone. Athletes' VO2 max peaks between the age of 18 and 25, and therefore, in older age, they can't utilize the oxygen as efficiently as someone in their youth. This is due to the clogging up of the arteries known as arteriosclerosis. This affects the athlete by not performing well aerobically due to lactic acid building up quicker than it would in youth. And that has been my 21.3 presentation on age.